The emergency alarm screamed through the mining station's corridors as rushed toward the medical bay, his heavy boots clanging against the metal flooring. 3 months into his assignment on 442B, he had grown used to the routine dangers of asteroid mining, but nothing could have prepared him for what lay bleeding on the examination table. The creature before him stood nearly 7 feet tall, even while lying down. Her skin was a deep blue-gray, marked with intricate silver patterns that seemed to pulse with a faint luminescence. What struck most were her eyes, large, amber-colored, and filled with a fierce intelligence that remained undiminished despite her severe injuries. Blood, darker than human blood, seeped from multiple wounds across her torso and arms. "Found her floating in Sector 7, reported Jake, the station's chief security officer. "Her ship was torn apart, debris scattered across half a click. Whatever happened out there, she's the only survivor." Pulled on his medical gloves, his training as a field medic taking over. The mining company had insisted all personnel receive basic medical training, but he had gone further, studying xenobiology in his spare time. His fascination with alien life forms had made him something of an expert among the crew. "Get me the portable scanner," ordered his assistant, Sarah, "and prep the surgical bay. We need to work fast." The alien warrior's breathing was labored, her chest rising and falling in an irregular rhythm. Ran the scanner over her body, studying the readouts with growing concern. Her physiology was similar to humans in some ways, but vastly different in others. She had 2 hearts, one of which had been damaged by what appeared to be an energy weapon blast. Her lung capacity was enormous, designed for a world with thinner atmosphere than Earth. "Sir, the universal translator is picking up something," Sarah reported, adjusting the device near the alien's head. A weak voice emerged from the speaker, speaking in accented English. "Please, my name is of the warrior clan. I must warn your people." Leaned closer, his voice gentle but urgent. "You're safe now. I'm going to help you, but I need you to stay still while I work." Amber eyes focused on him with surprising intensity. "The Devourers, they come for your world. My ship was scouting, found their fleet." "Save your strength," said, beginning to clean her wounds. "We'll talk about this when you're stable." The next several hours tested every skill possessed. Physiology was complex, their blood chemistry requiring careful balance. He had to improvise, using human medical supplies in ways they were never designed for. Sarah assisted with remarkable skill, anticipating his needs as he worked to repair damaged organs and seal wounds. The most challenging moment came when his primary heart began to fail. Found himself performing surgery unlike anything in human medical textbooks, using a combination of human techniques and educated guesses based on principles. His hands moved with steady precision as he repaired the damaged cardiac tissue, all while monitoring her vital signs on jury-rigged equipment. "Her temperature is dropping," Sarah reported with concern. Glanced at the readings. Body temperature ran higher than humans, and hypothermia could be fatal. He made a decision that would have violated every protocol in human medicine. He climbed onto the table beside, using his own body heat to warm her while continuing to monitor her condition. For the next 6 hours, maintained this vigil. Drifted in and out of consciousness, sometimes speaking in her native language, other times looking directly at him with those penetrating amber eyes. During her lucid moments, she seemed surprised by his dedication to saving her life. "Why do you help me?" she asked during one such moment. "Your people, they know nothing of mine." "Because you're hurt," replied simply, "and because it's the right thing to do." Something shifted in his expression at those words. Among her people, warriors were respected for their strength and feared for their power. The concept of helping someone simply because they needed help was foreign to culture. Yet here was this human, risking his own safety and comfort to save her life. As dawn broke over 442B's barren landscape, its vital signs finally stabilized. Had successfully performed the first recorded surgery on a warrior, using nothing but human medical knowledge, improvisation, and sheer determination. He finally allowed himself to step back, exhaustion weighing heavily on his shoulders. "You saved my life," said, her voice stronger now. "Among my people, this creates a blood debt. I am bound to you until I can repay this kindness." Shook his head, too tired to fully understand the cultural implications. "You don't owe me anything. I'm just glad you're going to be okay." But Amber's eyes held a depth of meaning that couldn't yet comprehend. In society, such a debt was sacred, and the way it was repaid would change both their lives forever. Over the following days, as recovered, she began to share her story. They were a warrior race, proud and independent, who had maintained their freedom through countless conflicts across the galaxy. She had been part of a scouting mission to investigate reports of a massive fleet movement in this sector of space. The Devourers, she explained to and the station's leadership, are not like other conquering races. They do not seek to rule or enslave. They consume everything life, resources, even the planets themselves. They have already destroyed 12 worlds in this spiral arm. Captain, the station commander, leaned forward in his chair. How long before they reach Earth? 3 of your months, perhaps 4 if they encounter resistance. But your people are not prepared for such an enemy. The Devourer's technology is beyond most races. Only the oldest and most advanced civilizations have successfully defended against them. The implications were staggering. Earth's defenses, impressive by human standards, would be woefully inadequate against such a threat. The mining station's crew looked too, who had become primary contact and translator of sorts. There might be a way, continued, her gaze finding. They have fought the Devourers before. We lost but we learned their weaknesses, if your people and mine were to unite our knowledge and resources. It was the beginning of an alliance that would reshape the galaxy, born from one human's simple act of compassion. Had pulled from the brink of death, not knowing that he was also pulling humanity from the brink of extinction. As regained her strength, noticed subtle changes in her behavior. She watched him constantly, studying his movements, his interactions with others, his decision-making process. When he asked her about it, she gave him a cryptic smile. I am learning about humans, she said. Specifically, I am learning about you. Why me specifically? Because you are remarkable. Among my people, strength is measured by one's ability to take life. Among humans, I am learning, strength can be measured by one's ability to preserve it. You possess something rare in the galaxy, the courage to show compassion to an enemy. You were never my enemy, protested. Exactly, replied, her amber eyes gleaming. And that is what makes you extraordinary. The mining station had become the unlikely center of the most important diplomatic contact in human history. Messages were sent to Earth at light speed, while used the station's communications array to contact the scattered remnants of the fleet. Both sides approached the alliance with caution, but the threat of the Devourers made cooperation essential. Found himself thrust into the role of liaison between the two species. His medical care had established trust, and his natural empathy made him an ideal translator not just of language, but of cultural concepts. He worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between human pragmatism and honor codes. During quiet moments, when the weight of galactic politics eased, and would walk the station's observation decks, looking out at the stars. Their conversations ranged from the technical aspects of interstellar warfare to more personal topics. Tell me about your family, asked one evening as they watched 442b's twin moons rise over the horizon. My parents are both doctors back on Earth. They always hoped I'd follow in their footsteps, but I wanted adventure. Seemed like a good idea at the time. And now? Consider the question. Now I'm not sure if I found adventure or if adventure found me. Laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. We believe that fate guides warriors to their destiny. Perhaps your desire for adventure was fate's way of bringing you here to this moment. What about your family? Asked. His expression grew solemn. The Devourers consumed our 3 cycles ago. My clan scattered to the winds. I am the last of my direct lineage. The sadness in her voice made his heart ache. Without thinking, he reached out and took her hand. Her skin was warm, despite its alien appearance, and her fingers were long and elegant. She looked down at their joined hands with surprise, then back at his face. Your people touch freely, she observed. It is considered intimate among them. Started to pull away, but's grip tightened gently. I did not say I disliked it, she added softly. In that moment, something fundamental shifted between them. The rescued alien warrior and the human medic were no longer just allies bound by circumstance. They were becoming something more, though neither yet understood what that meant. As the weeks passed, the alliance between humans took shape. Earth's industrial capacity would be combined with military knowledge to create defenses capable of stopping the Devourers. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source, the bond that was growing between and. Your species fascinates me, told him one day as they reviewed tactical reports together. Humans lack the natural weapons of yet you have conquered your world and reached for the stars. How? Cooperation, replied without hesitation. We learn to work together to combine our individual strengths. What one human cannot accomplish alone, 100 working together can achieve. Nodded thoughtfully. This is the key, isn't it? Not just the alliance between our species, but the way humans think about problems, the fight as individuals even when we fight together. But humans truly unite. That insight would prove crucial in the battles to come. But for now, was more concerned with the way was looking at him, her amber eyes holding depths he was only beginning to explore. The blood debt she had mentioned was evolving into something neither of them had expected. In saving her life, had not just preserved a warrior, he had awakened something in that her people rarely experienced. Among the emotion was considered a weakness, but found herself drawn to this human who had shown her such unexpected kindness. As the first ships began arriving at the mining station, made a decision that would change everything. She approached in his quarters late one evening, her expression serious but her eyes warm. I must tell you something, she began, her usual confidence replaced by something approaching nervousness. The blood debt I owe you, it has become something more. Looked up from the medical reports he was studying. What do you mean? Among my people there is a concept called the choosing of a life companion. It is rare, sacred, and binding. When I find someone worthy of such devotion, someone who embodies the qualities they most admire, they offer themselves completely. His heart began to race as he understood where this was leading. You saved my life, but more than that, you showed me a kind of strength I had never known existed. You risked yourself for a stranger, asked for nothing in return, and treated me with dignity when I was at my most vulnerable. These are the qualities of a true warrior, though your people might not call it that. She moved closer, her tall frame graceful despite her size. I choose you if you will have me, not just as a companion but as something more. My people believe that the strongest bonds are forged in crisis, tested in conflict, and proven in sacrifice. We have all three. Stood slowly, his mind reeling. The implications were staggering, not just personally but politically. A union between human and had never been attempted. The biological, cultural, and practical challenges seemed insurmountable. But as he looked into his amber eyes, seeing the vulnerability beneath her warrior's facade, realized that some decisions transcended logic. This remarkable being had chosen him, not out of debt or obligation, but because she saw something in him worth treasuring. I don't know how this could work, he said honestly. Our species are so different. Differences can be overcome, replied, stepping closer until they were almost touching. What matters is the will to try. Will you try with me? The question hung in the air between them, carrying the weight of two worlds, two species, and two hearts that had found an unexpected connection in the vast darkness of space. Took a deep breath, looking into his amber eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of stars. The weight of her question settled around them like gravity from a distant world. In the quiet of his quarters, with the gentle hum of the station's life support systems providing a steady backdrop, he made a choice that would echo across the galaxy. Yes, he said simply, I'll try with you. The relief that flooded his features was unmistakable, though she tried to maintain her warrior's composure. Among her people, showing such vulnerability was dangerous, but she found herself able to lower her guard. She reached out with one long, elegant hand and touched his cheek with surprising gentleness. Then we face whatever comes together, she said softly. Their first challenge came sooner than expected. Captain called an emergency meeting the next morning, his face grim as he addressed the assembled crew and the newly arrived delegation. The lead warrior, commander, was a massive specimen even by their standards, his silver markings indicating high rank and countless battles. We've received intelligence from our advanced scouts, announced. The Devourer fleet has changed course. They're moving faster than predicted, and they've split their forces. Part of their fleet is heading for Earth, but the main force is coming here to this system. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. 442b, once a remote mining outpost, was about to become the front line of an interstellar war. Commander spoke, his voice a deep rumble that the universal translator rendered in crisp English. They know we are here. The Devourers have learned of our alliance. They seek to crush it before it can threaten their expansion. How long do we have? Asked Dr. Sarah, his medical assistant who had stayed on to help with the cultural exchange. 2 weeks, perhaps 3, replied. Their ships are biomechanical constructs capable of self-repair and adaptation. Each battle makes them stronger. Felt's hand slipped into his, her fingers intertwining with his own. The gesture didn't go unnoticed by Commander, whose eyes narrowed as he studied the human who dared to touch a warrior so familiarly. There is another matter, announced, his gaze fixed on. Warrior has been reported as claiming with a human. This requires explanation. The room's atmosphere grew tense. Could feel the stares of both species upon them, some curious, others clearly disapproving. He started to speak, but squeezed his hand gently and stepped forward. I have chosen as my life companion, she declared, her voice carrying the authority of generations of warrior tradition. He saved my life when he owed me nothing. He has shown courage, wisdom, and compassion beyond measure. By the ancient laws of our people, my choice is mine to make. His expression was unreadable. The ancient laws speak of between. This human is not of our blood, our culture, or our world. Such a union has never been attempted. Then perhaps it is time for new traditions, replied steadily. The Devourers destroyed our because we clung too tightly to the old ways, refused to adapt, to ally with others. Would you have us repeat that mistake? The tension in the room was palpable. Realized that this moment was about more than just his relationship with. It was about the future of the alliance itself. If they couldn't accept fundamental change, how could they hope to successfully integrate their forces with humanity? Captain cleared his throat diplomatically. Perhaps we could focus on the immediate threat. Personal matters can be sorted out after we survive the next few weeks. But Commander wasn't finished. Among the is not merely personal. It affects clan standing, inheritance rights, and warrior obligations. If warrior claims this human, what children might result? How would they be raised? What allegiances would they hold? The question of children hit like a physical blow. In all his consideration of a relationship with, he hadn't thought about offspring. Was such a thing even biologically possible? And if it was, what kind of life would such children have? His voice was steady as she replied. Any children born of our union would be bridges between our peoples. They would carry the strength of both species and the wisdom to unite them. In these dark times, what could be more valuable? Dr. Warren, the station's chief scientist, spoke up hesitantly. Actually, I've been running some preliminary genetic analysis since arrived. The compatibility is surprising. There are significant differences, obviously, but the basic chromosomal structures are remarkably similar. Hybridization might actually be possible. The revelation sent murmurs through the assembled crowd. Felt his world shifting once again. The theoretical was becoming practical, the impossible was becoming merely improbable. The Devourer's approach, Commander said with finality. Such discussions are luxuries we cannot afford. If this alliance is to survive, we must focus on military preparation. Over the following days, the mining station transformed into a fortress. Technology merged with human engineering in ways that surprised both species. The humans' adaptability impressed the warriors, while the aliens' advanced weapons systems amazed the station crew. Found himself busier than ever, serving not only as a medic but as a cultural liaison. His relationship with had made him something of an expert on physiology, and both species turned to him when medical questions arose. He worked 18-hour days, treating injured workers, helping adapt medical techniques for human use, and preparing for the casualties that would inevitably come. During the rare quiet moments, he and would steal time together. They talked about everything and nothing, her memories of his childhood on Earth, their hopes for a future that seemed increasingly uncertain. Tell me about human families, asked one evening as they sat in the observation lounge, watching the construction of defensive platforms in the distance. Considered the question. They're the foundation of everything we do. Parents raise children, teach them right from wrong, prepare them for the world. Children grow up, start families of their own, continue the cycle. It's messy and complicated and wonderful. Families are different, mused. Children are raised by the clan, trained as warriors from birth. Individual bonds are discouraged. Emotional attachments are seen as weaknesses to be exploited by enemies. Do you think that's why your people struggled against the Devourers? Asked gently. Was quiet for a long moment. Perhaps we fought as individuals even when we fought together, but humans. You fight for each other, for your families, your communities, your species. That kind of motivation is powerful. Is that what you want? Asked. A family like humans have. Turned to look at him, her amber eyes reflecting the stars beyond the viewport. With you? Yes, I want to learn what it means to love something more than honor, to fight for creation instead of just destruction. Their conversation was interrupted by alarms. The first Devourer ships had appeared at the edge of the system, their biomechanical forms twisted and organic in ways that hurt to look at. The battle for humanity's future was about to begin. The first engagement was a disaster. 3 ships and 2 human destroyers moved to intercept the advance scouts, and only 1 damaged human vessel limped back to report. The Devourer ships weren't just technologically superior, they were adaptable in real time, learning from each attack and modifying their defenses accordingly. Worked frantically in the medical bay as the survivors were brought in. Burns from energy weapons unlike anything in human experience, toxins from Devourer bioweapons, injuries that classification. He found himself treating both human and wounded side by side, using techniques he was inventing on the spot. Fought on the front lines, leading a mixed unit of human marines and warriors. The integration was rocky at first. Humans fought with coordinated tactics while preferred individual heroics, but gradually they learned to complement each other's strengths. During a brief lull between attacks, returned to the medical bay, her armor and her left arm wrapped in an improvised bandage. Immediately began examining the wound, his hands gentle but efficient. "It's not deep," he said with relief, "but you need to be more careful." "Careful is not the way," replied, but there was warmth in her voice. "Though I admit having someone worry about me is pleasant." As cleaned and dressed her wound, spoke quietly. "The integration of our forces is working better than expected. Your people's tactical thinking combined with our individual combat skills, it's creating something new. Something the Devourers haven't encountered before." "That's good news, at least." "There's more," continued. "Commander has been watching our relationship. He sees how it represents the kind of unity we need to win this war. He's reconsidering his position on our." Looked up from his work, surprised. "Really?" "The old ways failed against the Devourers. Perhaps new ways will succeed. You and I, we are proof that 2 different species can become stronger together than they are apart." Their moment was interrupted by another alarm. The main Devourer fleet had arrived, and this time there would be no retreat. The final battle was beginning. The space around 442b erupted into chaos. Devourer bioships, their hulls writhing with organic tendrils and pulsing with alien life, engaged the combined human fleet. Energy beams carved through space, while missiles and torpedoes created brief stars of destruction. Watched from the station's command center, his heart in his throat as he tracked fighter squadron. The mixed human units were performing better than anyone had expected. Where human tactical coordination met individual prowess, they created something unprecedented, a fighting force that was adaptive, creative, and utterly unpredictable. But the Devourers were adapting too. Their biomechanical nature allowed them to evolve new defenses in real time. Just as it seemed the Allied forces might gain an advantage, the enemy would shift tactics, modify their weapons, or deploy new forms of bio-warfare. "We're losing," Captain said grimly, watching the tactical display. "For every Devourer ship we destroy, they're taking down 3 of ours." Commander, who had taken overall command of the forces, studied the displays with the calculating gaze of a veteran warrior. "Not losing," he corrected. "Learning, as are they, but we have something they do not." "What's that?" Glanced at the medical bay where was preparing for the next wave of casualties. "Inspiration. The human-saved warrior not for tactical advantage, but from simple compassion. That act has created a bond that strengthens both of them. Our forces fight better when human and fight together as they do." As if summoned by their words, an urgent transmission came through from Squadron. Her voice crackled over the comm, strained but determined. "Command, this is Strike Team. We've identified a weakness in the Devourer bioships. Their adaptation process requires a neural link between vessels. If we can disrupt that link during the adaptation phase, we can prevent them from sharing defensive modifications." "How do you disrupt it?" asked. "Close-range attack on the neural nodes, but it requires precise timing and coordination between human and pilots. The humans provide the tactical coordination, they provide the individual skill to execute impossible maneuvers. It was exactly the kind of integrated approach that their relationship had symbolized two different strengths becoming greater than the sum of their parts. The next few hours tested every bond that had been forged between the species. Human pilots guided fighters through complex attack patterns, while warriors provided covering fire for human bomber runs. The trust required was absolute. One species had to depend completely on the other for survival. Monitored it all from the medical bay, treating the wounded as they came in, but his heart was in space with. Each time her fighter disappeared from sensors during a close-range attack run, he felt his world contract to a single point of fear. Each time she reappeared, whole and fighting, he felt it expand again with relief. Dr. Warren called from her station. "I'm getting some interesting readings from the wounded. Their healing rates are accelerated when they're in close proximity to human medical staff, and the human patients are showing improved response to biomedical techniques." "What does that mean?" "I think it means that the compatibility between our species goes beyond just genetic. There's something at a fundamental biological level that makes us stronger together. Your relationship with might be more than symbolic, it might be an actual evolutionary advantage." The revelation was staggering, but didn't have time to process it fully. The battle was reaching its crescendo, and the medical bay was filling with casualties from both species. Then came the moment that changed everything. Squadron had successfully disrupted the Devourer neural network, preventing them from adapting to a new human tactic. For the first time in the battle, the Allied forces gained a significant advantage. But the Devourers responded with desperate fury. A massive bioship, larger than any they'd seen before, emerged from hyperspace and headed directly for the station. Its intent was clear. If they couldn't defeat the Alliance in open battle, they would destroy the symbol of human cooperation. "All ships protect the station," commanded, but everyone could see the tactical display. There weren't enough ships left to stop the massive Devourer vessel. That's when made a decision that would define the future of both species. Her voice came over the calm and determined. Can you hear me?" "I'm here," he replied, his voice tight with emotion. "I want you to know that choosing you was the best decision of my life. You taught me that strength isn't just about the ability to destroy, but the willingness to create, to love, to hope." "Whatever you're thinking." The Devourer ship has a critical weakness at its core. A direct hit there would cause a cascade failure, but it requires a suicide run through their defenses. "No," shouted, "there has to be another way." "There is no other way, but what we've started here, what we've proven is possible. It will continue. Our love, our alliance, our hope for a better future, make sure it continues." Before anyone could stop her, Fighter broke formation and streaked toward the massive Devourer ship. Her squadron of mixed human pilots followed without hesitation, providing cover for her final attack run. Watched in helpless horror as energy beams reached out towards Fighter. He saw her ship take hit after hit, saw its shields fail and hull begin to breach. But she kept flying, kept pushing forward with the determination that had made her people legendary warriors. At the last second, just as her fighter was about to impact the Devourer's core, his voice came over the comm one final time. "For our future, for the children we dreamed of, for love that conquers all." The explosion lit up space like a newborn star. The massive Devourer ship convulsed once, twice, then collapsed in on itself as the cascade failure spread through its biomechanical structure. The other Devourer vessels, suddenly cut off from their command ship, became disoriented and vulnerable. Within hours, the battle was over. The Devourer fleet was destroyed or scattered, but the victory felt hollow too as he stared out at the debris field where his fighter had been. Commander found him in the observation lounge hours later, the warrior's usual stoic expression softened by something approaching gentleness. "She died as a true warrior," said quietly. "But more than that, she died for love, for hope, for the future of both our peoples." Couldn't speak past the grief that threatened to choke him. "There is something you must know," continued. "Before the battle underwent a procedure, a biogenetic sampling that our medical technology allows. She wanted to ensure that your dream of children could still become reality." Looked up sharply. "What are you saying?" "I am saying that warrior's sacrifice was not an ending but a beginning. If you choose it, if you have the courage to see it through, the family you both dreamed of can still exist. Different from what you planned, perhaps, but no less real. The implications were staggering. Advanced biotechnology combined with human genetic material and artificial gestation. It was possible to create the hybrid children that had envisioned. Children who would carry the genes of both species, the bridge between two worlds that she had dreamed of. Stared out at the stars, feeling the weight of choice settle around him once again. Was gone, but her vision of unity, of love conquering difference, of hope triumph over despair, that could still live on. In the quiet of space, surrounded by the debris of war and the promise of peace, began to understand that sometimes the greatest act of love is the willingness to continue when continuing seems impossible. 6 months after the Battle of 442B, stood in the most advanced medical facility in the galaxy, watching over 3 bioregeneration chambers that hummed with quiet efficiency. Inside each chamber, barely visible through the translucent walls, small forms were growing, the impossible children that had dreamed of, the living bridges between two species that would change the course of history. The facility had been built jointly by human and scientists, a marvel of integrated technology that neither species could have achieved alone. Dr. Warren led the human research team, while bioengineer Ara oversaw the alien technology. Together, they had accomplished what many thought impossible, the successful hybridization of human and genetics. The development is proceeding perfectly, Dr. Warren reported, checking the latest readings. All 3 embryos are healthy and growing at the expected rate. The bioenhancement technology is compensating beautifully for the genetic incompatibilities. Nodded, his eyes never leaving the chambers. 3 children, 2 that would be primarily human in appearance but with strength and longevity, and 1 that would show more obvious characteristics but with human emotional capacity and adaptability. Had wanted to ensure that their children would truly represent both species. Would be amazed to see this, he said softly. She is seeing it, Commander replied from behind him. The massive warrior had become an unexpected friend over the months since the battle, his respect for growing as he witnessed the humans' dedication to vision. Among my people, we believe that those who die for love never truly leave. Their spirit lives on in what they helped create. The past 6 months had been a whirlwind of activity. The victory over the Devourers had marked the beginning of a new era of cooperation between humans and trade agreements, technology exchanges, and cultural programs had flourished. The story of and had become legend among both species, proof that love could transcend any barrier. But had struggled with the decision of whether to proceed with the children. The technology existed, its genetic material had been preserved, but the ethical implications were staggering. Would he be creating children for his own comfort, or would they truly serve the greater purpose that had envisioned? The answer had come from an unexpected source. Dr. Sarah, who had been monitoring the integration of the 2 species, had approached him with data that changed everything. You need to see this, she had said, spreading charts and graphs across his desk. The psychological profiles of mixed human teams show remarkable results. When humans and work closely together over extended periods, both species show enhanced problem-solving abilities, increased empathy, and improved stress resistance. What does that mean? It means that was right. Humans aren't just compatible, we're synergistic. We make each other better in measurable ways, but it requires close contact, shared experiences, emotional bonding, the kind of bonds that families create naturally. The data had been compelling, but what convinced was a message that had recorded before the final battle, a message that Commander had waited until was ready to receive. Her image had appeared on the screen, amber eyes bright with determination and love. My dearest, if you are seeing this, then I am gone, and you are struggling with a decision about our children. I want you to know that I do not expect you to carry this burden for me, but I hope you will carry it for them, for us, for the future we dreamed of together. She had paused, her hand moving to rest over her heart. These children will not be just ours, they will belong to both species. They will grow up understanding both worlds, loving both peoples, bridging differences that have existed for. They will be living proof that love is stronger than fear, that hope is more powerful than hatred. But most importantly, they will be yours. Raise them with all the love you showed me. Teach them the compassion that saved my life and changed my world. Show them that strength comes not from the ability to destroy, but from the courage to create, to protect, to nurture. The message had continued with practical instructions, medical directives, and personal wishes for each child. But it was the love in her voice, the absolute faith in his ability to be the father their children would need, that had made his decision for him. Now, watching the children grow in their biochambers, felt a peace he hadn't known since death. Dr. Warren had explained that the gestation process would take 18 human months, giving the hybrid physiology time to develop properly. Each day brought small changes, small miracles that both species scientists monitored with fascination. "There's something else you should know," Ara, the bioengineer, said quietly. "These children are showing genetic expressions we've never seen before, traits that appear in neither pure human nor pure genetics." "What kind of traits?" asked. "Enhanced neural connectivity, improved immune response, increased cellular regeneration. It's as if the combination of human and genes is unlocking potentials that neither species possesses alone." Dr. Warren nodded excitedly. "We're seeing similar patterns in the mixed crews working on joint projects. Extended contact with seems to activate dormant genetic sequences in humans, while contact with humans appears to enhance emotional intelligence and creativity." "Was right," murmured. "We really do make each other better." The weeks passed with increasing anticipation. Had moved to the research facility permanently, refusing to miss any part of his children's development. He read to them through the chamber walls, played music, told them stories about their mother and the love that had made their existence possible. The human government and the clan council watched the pregnancy with intense interest. These children would be the first of their kind, living symbols of the alliance that had saved both species from the devourers. Plans were already being made for their education. They would learn on both Earth and the new colony world, studying under masters from both civilizations. But insisted that above all else, they would be his children first, symbols second. They would have the normal childhood that circumstances allowed, with birthday parties and scraped knees and bedtime stories. They would learn to love before they learned to lead. Commander had become a frequent visitor to the facility and was amused to see the stern warrior's obvious fascination with the developing children. "Among the children are raised by the clan," had explained. "But these children, they are unique. They will need different guidance." "Are you volunteering?" had asked with a smile. "If you would permit it, I would be honored to serve as their father figure, to teach them the ways of warriors, the honor of the clans, the strength that comes from understanding one's heritage." It was an unprecedented offer. Didn't typically form emotional bonds with children outside their own bloodline, but these children were breaking all precedents. Dr. Warren had also volunteered to help raise them, offering to serve as both medical advisor and surrogate grandmother. "They'll need human perspectives too," she had said. "People who understand Earth culture, human values, the things that make us who we are." A support network was forming around the children before they were even born. Human scientists and warriors, Earth diplomats and alien philosophers, all united in their commitment to giving these remarkable children the best possible start in life. The first birth came on a Tuesday morning, 18 months after his death. Stood beside the biochamber as it slowly drained, revealing a perfect infant obviously human in appearance, but with subtle differences that hinted at her dual heritage. Her eyes, when they opened, were the same amber color as her mother's. Whispered, holding his daughter for the first time, "Her name is—" Commander approached slowly, his massive frame surprisingly gentle as he looked down at the infant. "She has her mother's eyes," he said softly, "and I suspect she will have her mother's strength." The second child, a son, was born 3 days later. He looked more obviously hybrid human features, but with the silver markings that characterized warriors, though they were faint and delicate on his infant skin. Named him David after his grandfather, but gave him the honor name, meaning Bridge of Hope. The third child was the most obviously in appearance, though smaller and more delicate than a pure-blooded infant. Her skin had the characteristic blue-gray tint, and her proportions were elongated in the alien fashion. But her eyes held a warmth and expressiveness that was purely human. Named her with the name Ara, meaning Star of Unity. Holding all 3 children for the first time, felt a completion he hadn't known was possible. They were beautiful, perfect, and absolutely impossible living proof that love could overcome any obstacle. The next few years passed in a blur of firsts. First words came early for all three children, and they were trilingual from the start, speaking English, and a mixture of the two that linguists found fascinating. First steps were followed by first climbs, as the children displayed the enhanced physical abilities that their hybrid genetics provided. Showed remarkable intuitive abilities, often seeming to know what people were thinking or feeling. David demonstrated incredible problem-solving skills, approaching challenges with a creativity that amazed both human and observers. Displayed a natural ability to mediate conflicts, bringing peace to situations that might otherwise escalate. The children grew up surrounded by love from both species. They spent summers on Earth, learning to swim in blue oceans and climb green trees. They spent winters on Nu, learning the martial arts of their mother's people and the honor codes that governed warrior society. But most importantly, they grew up knowing the story of their parents' love. Told them about the dying alien warrior he had pulled from the brink of death, about the choice she had made to love him, about the sacrifice she had made for their future. He wanted them to understand that they were born not just from genetics and technology, but from hope and courage and love that transcended species. By the time they reached school age, the children were minor celebrities throughout both human and space. But in their extended family worked hard to keep them grounded, to ensure they understood their responsibilities without being crushed by expectations. "You are not symbols," told them one evening as they sat together watching the stars from their home on Nu. "You are my children first and everything else second. Whatever you choose to do with your lives, whoever you choose to become, I will be proud of you." "But we are special, aren't we, Papa?" Young asked, her amber eyes serious. "Different from other children." "Yes, you're special," admitted. "But not because of what you represent to others. You're special because you're kind, because you're curious, because you care about people. Those are the things that make someone truly special." David, now 8 and showing the analytical mind that characterized his problem-solving approach, asked the question that had been dreading. "Papa, why did Mama have to die? Couldn't she have found another way to save everyone?" Considered his answer carefully. "Sometimes, sweetheart, the only way to save the people we love is to risk everything we have. Your mama looked at the situation and knew that her sacrifice could save not just her people and mine, but could give you three the chance to exist, to grow up in a universe where humans and were friends instead of strangers." "Do you think she would be proud of us?" asked quietly. "I know she would," replied, pulling all three children close. "Every day you prove that her faith in love, in hope, in the possibility of a better future was justified. You are her greatest victory, her most lasting gift to the galaxy." As the children grew older, their unique abilities became more pronounced. They could communicate with both species on levels that pure humans or pure could not achieve. They understood cultural nuances instinctively, bridged communication gaps effortlessly, and served as natural diplomats in a galaxy still learning to integrate two very different civilizations. But they also remained, fundamentally, children. They played games, got into trouble, argued with each other, and tested boundaries just like any other kids. Found parenting three hybrid geniuses exhausting and rewarding in equal measure. Commander, now officially serving as their cultural advisor and unofficially as their beloved uncle, taught them the warrior ways with gentleness and patience that would have amazed his former battle companions. Dr. Warren, now in her 70s but still sharp as ever, made sure they understood human scientific method and critical thinking. The extended family that had formed around the children included diplomats, scientists, warriors, and philosophers from both species. It was exactly the kind of multicultural support network that had envisioned proof that different peoples could not just coexist but thrive together. As the children approached their 10th birthday, began to see more and more of in them. Not just the physical resemblance that Young bore to her mother, but the strength of character, the willingness to stand up for what was right, the capacity for love that transcended boundaries. One evening, as they celebrated its breakthrough in developing a new communication protocol that could help other hybrid families, realized that vision had come true in ways that even she might not have imagined. The children were indeed bridges between the species, but they were more than that. They were proof that love was not just an emotion but a creative force, capable of bringing new life, new possibilities, new hope into existence. They were living demonstrations that the future belonged not to any single species, but to all species working together. Standing in their garden on Nu, watching his three impossible children play together under alien stars, felt his presence as strongly as if she were standing beside him. In saving her life all those years ago, he had set in motion events that saved two civilizations. In choosing to love him, she had created a legacy that would shape the galaxy for generations to come. The children would grow up to become leaders, inventors, peacemakers, and dreamers. They would face challenges that could not yet imagine, navigate a future that was still being written. But they would do so with the strength of two peoples, the wisdom of two cultures, and the love of a father who had learned from their mother that the greatest victories are won not through conquest, but through the courage to believe in impossible things. As the twin moons of Nu rose over the horizon, casting silver light across the garden where human and flowers grew side by side, smiled. Sacrifice had indeed been not an ending, but a beginning. The family she had dreamed of was real, thriving, and ready to help write the next chapter of galactic history. In the distance, a mother called her children home in their melodic language, while a human father taught his son to throw a baseball. Two species, once strangers, now building a future together. It was exactly what had fought and died to protect, the right to love, to hope, to believe that tomorrow could be better than today. Gathered his children close as the evening stars began to appear, each point of light a reminder of the vast universe that awaited their exploration. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, a family forged in sacrifice, tempered by love, and united by the simple truth that had taught him. That sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is choose to save a life, even when that life belongs to a stranger. The impossible children slept peacefully that night, dreams filled with adventures among the stars, while their father kept watch over them and remembered the alien warrior who had chosen love over everything else. In the quiet darkness, surrounded by the gentle hum of a world at peace, knew that some stories never really end, they just become the foundation for new beginnings.